Last month, I shared about a lesson that I learned. It was a hard lesson. It was about giving up control to God. And I told it to you guys in the context of the Mexico mission trip. But that week, that same week, later that week, I had to apply that lesson again. And it has led me to make one of the hardest decisions in my life. And I still don't know why I made it. No. So I learned that I needed to give up control to God because He knows the best way. And when He leads us, when we trust in Him, He leads us to the right path. And as I was thinking about that, I came to my life. I have a life verse. It's just a verse that I always go to whenever I'm having a hard time. And it's from Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. And it says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your paths straight." So just like Moksandi Marty announced, I accepted a position to be vice principal at my school. And if I've told you my story before, this is a school that's very, very difficult to work at. And I've been working there for 7 years, and I was ready to quit. I was ready to quit about 5 years ago, but every year I stayed one more year. And so I was ready to quit, and then I got the offer. They said, "Miss Nam, would you like to take the vice principal position?" I said, no, thank you. And that was it. I was done. But the Sunday that I shared last time, Moksandi, he called me over. He's like, "Come sit down next to me." And I was like, oh, I knew what was happening. And he basically challenged me to reconsider the offer because he was able to see that it was an opportunity from God to again trust in Him, to again put control in His hands. And it was something that my heart really didn't want to do. I was so against it. But during that week, I really prayed and I consulted with people, and I just kind of was like, okay, you taught me to lose control in a little thing. Now help me to give up control to you in this big thing. And the night before it was my day of resignation, I decided, okay, I have to do this. So the next morning I called the vice president of the company and I said, I think I'm ready to take the offer. And she was like, meet me in my office right now. So we went to the office and I met with the vice president of the organization. Then I met with my boss's boss. And they asked me what made me reconsider. And I think there's a lot of ways that I could have responded. I was very scared to respond in that moment, but I just told them the truth. I said, God told me to take this job, so I'm here. And I was kind of afraid of what they would say because, it's always a little scary to share your testimony, but I said, okay, God, I'm going to trust you. You called me to this, so if anyone asks me, I'm just going to say it. You called me to it, so I'm here. And I shared it, and then they both looked at me and they said, I've been praying too. I've been praying for you. And I was like, really? And they're like, I've been praying so much for the school, and I've been praying that you would change your mind. But I knew that there would be peace. I knew that it would happen. And then you called me this morning, and I knew that God answered my prayer. And then my boss's boss turned and he said, I've been praying too. And I was like, wow, I work in an organization full of prayers. Prayer warriors, right? And he said, whenever I pray about the school, whenever I think about the school, I get so much anxiety, but as soon as I pray, I just feel so much peace. And now that you have accepted the job, I don't think I'll ever be worried again. And I was like, oh my gosh. So really, in that moment, I realized what it meant that God would make my path straight, that He would give me support, that He would surround me with people that pray, that He would, have people around me that really encouraged me to take on this position. And so I think the main message, I guess, is that I pray that our church would also be people who can trust in God in everything that we do, that we don't lean on our own understanding. I had a lot of people who told me that I was crazy for taking this job. They said, haven't you been wanting to quit for such a long time? Doesn't that place make you miserable? I was like, yeah, absolutely. They're like, why are you taking it? I was like, I don't know, because God told me to. And then I have to say that the first week that I was in school, I was so joyful. It was a joy that I couldn't produce myself. I was so happy and I was so excited. I was like, okay, we're gonna do a great job. And then this past week was the worst week I've ever had. I hated everybody. I looked at them, I was like, oh, I hate you. I looked at, oh God, get out of my face. But I knew that I had to be there because God had called me to be there. And that gives me hope. Because I know that if I trust in the Lord with all my heart and lean not on my own understanding, and if in all my ways I acknowledge Him, He'll make my path straight. So I pray also that we become a church that can trust in the Lord and not lean on our own understanding. There's a lot of ways that the church does things that we think is correct, we think is reasonable, but even Moksanyi challenged me, don't think reasonably. Think the way God. Try to lean on God. And I was like, oh, okay. But I do, I pray because I pray that for us, because it's an amazing road. And that's what I can say 2 weeks into my job. We'll see how it is next month.
Amen.
But that's our prayer for our church.
Thank you.